This is Steve Elworth, Global Initiatives Director at the Chapel, and I wanted to thank you again for being a part of what the Chapel is doing through the International Thanksgiving Banquet. So a lot of you were able to come to the info session that we did on Sunday. Some of you weren't, so I wanted to send out a quick video just reminding us why we're doing what we're doing and giving a little bit of instruction about how the night is going to flow so that those of you who are at the info session can review and those of you who weren't can kind of get caught back up. But first, I want to just give a little bit of vision for this event again to talk about why we're doing what we're doing. It's easy for this just to be an event that we cross off of our ministry to-do list, or this could be just something where we're wanting to reach out to the poor international community. And I would go against both of those statements and say that the bigger vision that we're doing here is we're being a part of accomplishing the Great Commission and fulfilling what John saw in Revelation 7:9, that there will be some from every tribe, tongue, people, and nation standing before the throne and before the Lamb, worshiping God. He's talking about all of the nations, all of the languages, all of the ethnicities, and we still have about 6,000 of those ethnicities on planet Earth that do not yet have a representative in that picture. And I can guarantee you that some of those groups are going to be in the sanctuary that have come into our church from some of these groups. So this is not an end in itself just to get some people in a room and to have a lot of good food and to be nice to some people, but this is really an event where we are seeking to love and welcome the nations that God has brought to us. So as you come into the room on Friday at 6:30 when this whole thing starts, when you get there a little bit earlier, walk in with that bigger vision of Revelation 7:9. That's what's compelling us. That's why we're doing what we're doing. So if we forget that, then this just becomes something that we do once a year, have a really good event, take some pictures, eat some food, and then go home. But something much bigger is happening. So I invite you to pray before that happens, before the event comes, so that you can be ready for that, and pray throughout the evening that God would give you conversations and would give you some people that you can pour your life into, even if it's just for those 2 hours, or even if He would have you have a relationship long term, because we're not going to reach the nations just from a 15-minute gospel presentation at the Thanksgiving banquet every year. So I'm incredibly excited about what this vision could be, what the event could turn into this year, and who's going to be there. Last year we had about 300 people from 50 different countries, many different languages, and many people got connected to the chapel. So extremely, extremely exciting. So I want to thank you again for being a part of that. I would invite you to open up the attachment. It's a PowerPoint that we went through at the information session. There's some verses, there's some statistics, and there's a little bit more instruction about what the night's going to look like. So it's going to be crucial that everybody reviews that so that everybody's on the same page. But I wanted to highlight just a few things to make sure that we are all on the same page, and when we walk in, we're ready to go. I would ask that everybody would get there as close to 5:45 as you can. We have different roles: table hosts, greeters, and runners, and everybody's going to be splitting up with their group and kind of giving a little bit of direction on where to go, where you're going to sit, where you're going to stand, where to eat, how the whole flow is going to work. So if you can get there as close to 5:45 as possible, that would be great. Also, please bring a dish to share. You can put it in a disposable tray so you don't need to take it home. But a dessert, a Thanksgiving dish, something to share. We're going to be providing turkeys, gravy, dressing, some desserts. But if we're going to feed everybody that's going to be there, we're going to need some help. The internationals are also going to bring some food. So it makes for an incredible meal. That's one of my favorite parts for sure. So when you get there at 5:45, we're going to break out, give a little bit of direction for table hosts. When you get there, on the wall next to the offices inside the sanctuary, there's going to be a list of where you're sitting. There's going to be 35 tables specified for internationals with 2 table hosts at each table, and then 5 other tables reserved for volunteers. That'll be for the choir, for people giving performances, for greeters, for runners, anybody else that is helping. So look for your designated seats if you're a table host. And the way we're going to do it this year is as internationals come into the room, the greeters are going to meet them at the door, as well as a runner. A runner will come, take their food from them, and bring it back to the buffet lines. The greeter with a smile will say, "Hey, welcome to the banquet," and usher them towards the middle of the sanctuary. But we need the greeters to stay where they are. At that time, Amber, my wife, and myself, Jim and Cindy Barker, are going to be around helping people get situated, helping everybody sit. So in the past, we've had table hosts go to the internationals and bring them to their table. This year, we're asking you to stay at your table until internationals come, and they're going to be ushered to your table. Please interact with everybody as they're coming through. If somebody passes your table, invite them to sit, but we don't want everybody running around the sanctuary as we have in the past. Once your table is full, or once we release people, because we have no idea how exactly when everybody's going to come, that's kind of a free-for-all. So when your table's full or we release you, everybody go to the buffet line except for one of the table hosts. In the past, we've had table hosts lose their table because everybody went and then some internationals came late and sat down. So one table host stay at the table, the other table hosts lead the group through the buffet lines, and make sure you grab 2 plates of food so that the other table hosts can have some of that. The program is going to start at 7:20, so that gives about 50 minutes to mingle, to interact, and have a good time, get to know some people before the program gets going. So this is going to be a really great opportunity. I think the flow is going to work really well this year if everybody kind of follows these guidelines. 2 other things I want to say for parking. Things could get a little rough because the next day in the afternoon is the Texas A&M game, so we don't really know what the parking situation on campus is going to be. We would prefer that as much as possible volunteers do not park in the chapel parking lot. There's parking behind and next to the Lutheran church down the street a little bit, and then if you kind of go towards the lake, there's a parking lot across from one of the fraternity houses that you can feel free to park at. Hopefully all of those spots will be open, but as much as possible, please don't park in our parking lot so that those spots are reserved for internationals. But I know things are going to be chaotic, so just do what you can. Also, people have asked about dress code. We don't really have a code for dress, but if you're going to ask the question, what I would say is wear either pants or a long skirt and cover your shoulders. The general rule of thumb is to be as modest as possible. But internationals are coming to our country. We can't meet everybody's demands on culture and all of those things. So we would just ask that you dress as modestly as possible and just come and have a really good time. There's more information in the PowerPoint slide. Please take a look at it, and if you have any questions, send me an email, give me a phone call. I'll be happy to answer anything that you have. But thank you again for being a part of what the chapel is doing. This has been going on for a long time. We've seen a lot of fruit from relationships that have gotten started. So we're expecting God to do big things. I invite you to pray with us as we get ready for this event. On Wednesday the 20th, if you're around campus or if you have a lunch break, we're going to be praying in the prayer room of the campus from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. So we invite you to come there as well and just pray that God brings the people to this banquet that He wants to be here. Thanks again.